And welcome to the Daily Wrap. Well, Hillary Clinton is still on top, but she continues to slip in the polls. In fact, a new one from Monmouth University, which has been busy lately, shows the former Secretary of State still has a pretty big lead on her fellow Democratic contenders with 51% of the vote, but she did fall 9 points between April and July. Actually, all of the candidates have dropped since April except for one, Mr. Bernie Sanders. Bernie's numbers have gone up steadily since April, jumping from 7 to 12 to 17%. If Joe Biden doesn't enter the race, is it safe to say the Democratic nomination will come down to Clinton and Sanders? No Chafee. Can you believe this, Unger?
I'm stunned. You know what amazes me is how people are interpreting these polls. So let's see. Look at the numbers. Hillary had 60%, which was her top in April, which meant 40% didn't like her. And then you get a candidate that suddenly other people like, and you'll see that as Bernie's numbers go up, Hillary's come down. Shocking. There were no other candidates in the race when she was at 60%. So yeah, you would assume that she's going to lose some popularity. The fact of the matter is, you can add all of them up together, and the whole bunch of them don't come close to beating her. It's just a silly thing to criticize.
You just wouldn't assume, Noah, that it would be a 73-year-old socialist that would be taking some of those numbers away. I mean, we are all surprised that Bernie is getting some of the numbers that he is, considering his stances on certain things like...
He's getting numbers like Trump's getting numbers.
But he's not an extremist, I would say. I mean, I guess you can call him that on a certain level, but he seemed almost completely unelectable before.
Yeah, and he still is.
Well, he's getting big crowds.
Yeah, and 17%.
Right. But in New Hampshire, he's in a dead heat, though, with Hillary Clinton. The New York Times poll recently. I mean, I think it just shows, Noah, that Hillary Clinton is a weak candidate, and people like the idea of her more than they like Hillary herself.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Those of us who've been watching the leftward drift of the Democratic Party over the course of the Obama era are not nearly as surprised to see a self-described socialist who is a non-entity in the upper chamber of Congress doing as well as he is with a certain segment of this electorate which really does want to go farther to the left, much farther to the left, than they did even over the course of the Obama presidency. And they've compelled Hillary Clinton, who really isn't facing a tough race, to disavow just about every accomplishment of her husband's presidency, the single most popular presidency of the modern era. She's in a very complicated...
You would include Reagan in that?
Bill Clinton is the most popular president when polled.
By the numbers, yeah.
By the numbers.
Interesting.
And that's by virtue of the era that he led, the post-war peace dividend.
Sure.
And by virtue of the fact that he governed as a centrist. He won only a plurality of the vote both times that he ran for election, and he governed directly from the center with the exception of a 1993 tax increase. Hillary Clinton has been compelled by the forces of her party to disavow virtually every accomplishment that is celebrated by the center in the middle of this country. That's not going to stop.
No, Lisa, do you think that Elizabeth Warren now kind of regrets not running, seeing how effective Bernie Sanders has been, because she's much more electable given that she's younger. She resonates even with more people than Sanders does. I think she probably has some second thoughts on that.
She is, but I think if she wanted, I think if she wanted to, she would have been in the race. I think what Bernie Sanders is showing, and even though his numbers are nowhere near what Hillary's are, is a vulnerability in Hillary Clinton, and I think that's what she or her people may be considering at this point, that there is, whether or not he can beat her or not, there's something there that people are looking for. And what they may be looking at Bernie Sanders with, in terms of, particularly in Iowa, is his authenticity. And they're not getting that from Hillary.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You can't compare him to Trump because with Bernie, at least, he's much more trustworthy in terms of the things he says. You could fact check him, and it's hard to
Right, but let's keep something in mind. She has never been below 50%. That's not all that vulnerable. And number two, Noah, I agree with a lot of what you said. You're right. It's not going to change. She's going to go to the left right up until the day she gets the nomination, and then she'll do exactly what every candidate does. She'll start moving big time to the center, and Bill Clinton's accomplishments will become a very big deal to her.
Those that she hasn't denounced. I would say that there's a silent majority within the Democratic Party that is still generally centrist.
There are.
But there's a very vocal minority
and they
that
will
controls
come right
the
along with Hillary the minute
they'll
she gets
support the nominee, begrudgingly. They will support the nominee, but they have all the microphones.
Well, Bernie Sanders also stole an opportunity Tuesday to highlight some key differences between himself and Mrs. Clinton when he practically hijacked some microphones in the Capitol Reserve for Senate leaders, and he held nothing back. Sanders, attacked over 3 decades worth of trade agreements created or signed between both Bill and Hillary Clinton over the years, calling them disastrous for American workers. He called out Hillary for not taking a hard stance on climate change, the Iraq War, and even big banks. Commandeering microphones outside the Capitol is pretty risky. Will Bernie Sanders' antics get in the way of his message? Lisa.
I don't think so. At this point, I don't think so. But then again, I don't also think that he will reach the numbers where he's going to become a threat to Hillary Clinton at all. He's getting attention, and he's, as Noah had said, he's moving. Hillary will move to the left because more people are identifying as liberal, and his message is resonating. But I don't think it's going to go much further than that.
Noah, can he at least take New Hampshire?
I doubt it, but if he does, there will be a real panic within the party.
Interesting. Rick?
I actually think he has a better chance of taking Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Back with more in just a moment. Potluck time next.